Hey guys, trading coins and bullion here, doing something a little bit different today. Going to be showing you how to flip on Runescape, and for those who are a little bit more advanced with it and don't need as much of the basics and the kind of background of flipping, how much you can make in 30 minutes flipping with 5 million GP. I'm not going to be going through the basics of flipping. I'm assuming you've got a kind of a basic general knowledge of flipping and how it works. What we're going to be doing today is starting with 5 million GP and going through the top 100 traded items, including free to play and pay to play. And we're going to be doing them one by one. So starting with fire rune, going down to feathers, then air runes, then pure essence, and then on we go. And in half an hour, we're going to see how much we can make in terms of absolute return and also the percentage gain. Because a lot of people say you can't make a good return with only flipping small amounts of money. So anything under 20 million GP is a general consensus you shouldn't bother flipping. I don't really agree in terms of making a good percentage. I think you can make quite a good return. So we'll see how much of a return we can actually make. So we're going to get going. We're going to start with finding the margin for the first item, and then I'm just going to carry on trading, kind of update you guys every so often what's happening, but you're going to see in real time for 30 minutes what I do when I'm trading. It is a little bit tedious if you go all the way through the items, but as you trade more, you will get used to finding out which ones really work well, and then you can really focus on those and kind of keep up to date. So hey guys, let's keep going and we'll work out the prices and find out where we go from here. So I've got 5 million GP in my inventory and we're going to start with fire runes. So we're going to find out what the buy prices are, sell prices, find out what the margin is, and if I see kind of a decent margin, then I'll open a buy trade for it. If I don't see a great margin, we'll move on to the next item. And then when we have 8 full trades, we'll have to wait for them to become filled, but it should be quite quick because these are the most traded items, and if there's not a decent margin or there doesn't seem to be much movement, then we'll just close it. So you can see 1 GP, that is 25% if you were to buy for 4 and sell for 5, and you're not going to pay any of the grand exchange tax, but it's just not really, I think, worth doing at this stage. So we'll move on to the next item. So the next item is feathers. What you want to do is you want to get to a stage where you've got 5 or 6 trades open. You're buying things at a decent price, selling them at a decent profit, decent percentage return, and then you're finding new things all the time. And sometimes when you're playing, you see feathers isn't a very good return, so we'll leave that for now. The good thing is once you get going, you can really start rolling with it. What I would normally do if I was trading, and I wasn't doing this video for this intention of finding out what you could make in half an hour and doing it this method of basically checking all the items as we go for the top 100 traded items. I'd be hitting gold bars, gold ore, coal, cannonballs, because those are just some kind of easy wins. Zulra scales, they're just quite basic and they have quite a good return pretty much every time. Okay, so air rune, not so good. We'll move on. Basically, we'll go through, and then if it's been 5-10 minutes, you can kind of keep the price range that you had before. Unless something really big has happened, it's unlikely to change that much. I'm pretty sure I know where this is going to go with the pure essence, but I'm going to try it anyway. The thing with some items is they literally are 1 for 1. So you can buy for 1 and sell for 2. But the thing you'd find is you could open a buy trade for 1 million of them, or 1, and try and sell them for 2. But you're unlikely to actually get the trade for the buy filled or the sell filled. So, because if you could do that, you'd just be doubling your money every time. But it doesn't really work that way. So we've done quite a few items, and this is the thing you're going to have. There's not a massive margin. In terms of percentage, it's quite good, but sometimes it's hard for it to get filled. They're very high volume items, and people don't tend to want to pay a lot for them, over the odds, because People buy them in bulk. So if you're going to do a load of magic or you just need a lot of runes, there's not really a massive rush. Okay, so here we've got, so the buy price will basically be 285 and the sell price for us would be 290. That's 5 GP margin. It's not a massive amount, so I think we should just keep going. If we see something that's half decent, we'll start a trade. And once we start, it does get quite busy. You know, if you've got 8 open trades and you've got a good amount of flow of items being bought and it's not taking too long, it really can work quite well. But as soon as we do get going, we'll start making some money. Not a massive margin there either. You can kind of see when people say you should aim, especially as a beginner flipper, to focus on the most traded items. They're right in the sense of you want something that has a lot of movement and people buy and sell a lot of it. But there's not always a great margin with those items, as we're seeing right now. Yeah, nothing great there. What we'll do is we'll keep going through, we'll keep an eye on these, and then if we don't find anything better, then we'll come back to some of these. But I think for now, if we just keep looking, because we are only up to Earth Runes, which is number 10 out of 100. So nothing amazing so far. It's worth checking because there might be something, and it depends what's happening on that day. You know, individual player activity, but nothing amazing so far. And I was a little bit lax with writing down when exactly we started trading. So I'm going to say we are trading from about 1405. We'll go with that. So 1435 is when we're aiming to finish. So pretty much 1% for all of these in terms of the ones that are over 100 GP. So zero scale, I'd expect there to be kind of more of a decent amount. I'd be surprised if there was less than something half decent for this. So you can see there, we bought it for 224, we sold it for 220, or we sold it for 222, but they took the 1%, which was 2 GP grand exchange tax. So basically we'd be buying them at 222 and selling them at 224. I just don't think that that is worth doing. Apart from the fact that tax is aggravating and kind of takes some of the money away, it's just not enough of a margin. We could do Zilrar scale later, but doing it now doesn't really make sense. So cannonballs, these are always a pretty good option. They're not great in terms of volume because there is a buy limit every 4 hours, but it's still worth doing. Okay, so let's go with this. So we're going to be buying at 194 and selling for 199. If we can't do it, then we'll move on. Okay, the market price is 195, so let's go with that. We'll start with 5,000. That's the other thing. When you don't have a massive stack of money, you can't really tie up too much of it, okay? Okay, that was quick. So this is the other thing I'm going to do. If something buys straight away or something gets filled, the priority is to get that back out. So basically to sell it again. So we're going to sell this for 199 per cannonball. What I'll do is at the end, I will have a go through, basically let you know what my total buy value was, total sell value, total tax value, and then we'll work it out, and then you can see exactly what it was. So you can see what the return was and what the percentage return was. So cannonballs. So Revenant Ether is the next one. I'm looking at my laptop, looking at the most traded items, but I will bring it up on the screen for you at the beginning and basically go through them with you. It will change when you're looking at it because they do it last 7 days, last month, last 3 months, last 6 months. But just for this video, we can go through it together. Okay, so let's open. Okay, so the market value on this is 179. We'd be looking at buying at 181, 182 and selling at 185. So let's open a buy order at 180 and see what happens. Let's just see what actually happens. So set it for market price, increase it by 1, let's just do 3,000. We don't want to tie too much money up because the market price is 179. If people don't want to wait, they will just put it on at the market price. So we're going to buy that at 180. If we can sell that at 182, 183, that would be good. Okay, so we sell the cannonballs. Like I said, we'll do the profit margin and total gain at the end. Let's buy another 5,000 cannonballs. 195. Okay, got the Revenant Ether buy order open. Let's go with coal. That noise you can hear is my office chair. It creaks because I don't actually have 5 million GP in real life. Definitely need to get some sort of converter GP into actual money. Okay, so coal, we're looking at 163 to 168. That's pretty good. The market price is 163, so I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to, again, don't want to tie too much money up. So 5,000 is the quantity, buying at 163, and then we're going to aim to sell about 167 or 168, depending on where it goes up to. Okay. Cannonballs done again. This is the thing with cannonballs, they sell really well, they buy easily, assuming you're in the right price zone. It's just quite a small, max buy, and it can hold things up a little bit. So that's something you want to keep in mind. You don't want to get hung up on it too much. If you can have a rough idea of what the buy limit is, then it gives you an idea of what's going on. For cannonballs, it's 11,000. But that does reset every 4 hours, so you can still make money. Okay, coal, we're doing Nature Rune next. So as you can see, things start to kind of warm up a bit. You go from a cold open, you haven't got any current prices, buy or sell for any items, and we've already made some money with the cannonball. We've identified a possible couple of opportunities with coal and Revenant Ether, and we're only up to number kind of 15 on the list out of 100. This is the thing that's good about flipping. It is kind of a big leveler, because you don't need to be a high level. You don't need to have a great understanding of the game. You basically have to be patient. You have to know a big list of items. If all you did was be a member and trade for free-to-play, pay-to-play items, the top 100 trader ones like we're doing, if that was all you did, you'd still make some money. Obviously, if you have more money, you can do the higher end items and it gives you more exposure. But with a stack of 5 million, you don't really want to be trading stuff that is, I would say, worth over 50,000. It's just a little bit much of a risk. Okay, so not a great margin there on the mine runes. The thing with the runes is they are just sold in such high quantities and people don't really want to pay a massive markup because there's not really any need. But it's always worth checking. If you're flipping for a couple of hours and you can just quickly check them, then that's good. And there are softwares you can get that basically tell you about the prices. So I'm going to open a trade on this one just for 2,000. You can get these things that basically tell you the prices in real time. The only thing is I've had bad experience with those before, and for the sake of the video, it's quite good to see in real time. It's quite intensive doing flipping. Even if you had eight trades open to buy, unless you price them wrong, or unless it's like maybe late at night and there's not many players online, it's unlikely you're going to have to wait too long for something to get filled. So there's always something to be doing. You can do stuff like go cut wood in the meantime or jewelry making, but it is kind of good to be here just to make sure. Now this is interesting because it's trading at 114 to 118. 114 is a market price. I'm going to put a bid in for 1,000 at 115. I don't want to commit too much. If these don't get filled quite soon and we're still searching through items, we'll cancel some of them. But it's just worth being in there for a while. The thing is, you can make money trading overnight, and you make your money off people basically being either bots and dumping and buying their stuff cheap, or people being lazy and just wanting to quickly sell things. But the thing is, we are doing this video for only half an hour, so we don't really have the luxury of waiting. It can really help to, we'll come back to this one later just because it hasn't filled yet. It can really help to be patient with it. and you can make good money. That is another thing that is quite important. If you leave the buy orders, the sell orders, and you kind of stick with it, that can help. But for this video, we are trying to go through quickly just to see how much you can get in half an hour. Okay, nothing great with those. I've always thought archery was kind of a bit of a, and fletching a bit of a wasted skill. I know that you can kind of buy your way through with fletching, but it does seem a little bit odd. That's never been updated. Nothing's ever been done to kind of rectify that. Because I don't know about you guys. Comment below, but I don't know if anyone else knows of any skills you can just absolutely buy, which is what you can do with fletching. It's boring, but it is doable. So minimal margin there with the Astral Rune. The market value is 164. So I'm going to do a market price buy with up by 1 for 1,000 to see what happens. Probably nothing will happen. Probably nobody will buy. Oops, I'll probably won't be able to buy what somebody's selling for that price. But it's worth trying anyway. And you'll get a feel for how things are. Okay, coal, 163, that's bought. And we're going to try and sell at 168. Let's just see what happens. If it doesn't sell at 168, we can review, lower the price, but let's do 168 for now. Soul Rune, kind of don't want to hang around. I kind of want to just sell those. So 185, okay. So we bought them at 182. Let's try selling them at 185. If they don't go, we can lower the price a little bit. It's not ideal to lower it because it kind of affects it for everybody else. And basically the margin is brought smaller because people end up paying higher buy price and people get a lower sell price. So basically everything gets squeezed. But it's still something you kind of have to do if you're getting a little bit stuck. Headless arrows. I feel like I know what's going to happen here, but let's try it anyway. So the market price for these is 10. Yeah, so 10, 11, it's just not really worth doing. Okay, Cosmic Runes, I'm going to leave that for now. They are buying at 1 above the market price. Now we're going to move on to Mithril Dart. That's the other thing about flipping in quite a short time. It makes you wonder how much time is actually spent just typing everything in. Okay, minimal margin there. Let's move on because we haven't got a huge amount of time. So gold bar, I'm assuming this is going to be quite good. Gold ore's pretty good. So let's, autocorrect's always helpful, isn't it, when you're trying to type in a hurry. So gold bar. Okay, so we got that at 117, which is the market price. We're selling it for 115. It's not a great margin there. I think we should probably leave that. Okay, we're going to sell this right now because we are now up to our max buy and I'm not playing for the next 3.5 hours, so we aren't going to get a chance for that to reset. Okay, so we'll leave that open for now and see what happens. Okay, maple logs is the next thing. Right, sold the coal, that's good. Now, since we know that that's active, let's go ahead and buy more. So we sold that at 167, we bought at 163. So let's buy another 5,000 at 163. Now let's buy maple logs. That's the good thing. You see something fill and it opens and it buys. If you're able to sell that and make a profit, if you haven't hit the max buy limit like we have with the cannibals, then just carry on going. Unless you want to commit the money somewhere else, just keep going with it. We've now made as much as we can in this half an hour section from the cannibals, but it's still worth doing. Every little adds up. Okay, so we got up to maple logs. That wasn't very good. Adamant dart tip. You can see how time consuming this is because we are up to item probably 25 and there's 100 items in total and it really does add up. Just checking everything. Okay. So that, Okay, so that bought for that, so yeah, that's not great. Yeah, these other ones are kind of a little bit dead. So I'm thinking if this video was longer and it was going to be an hour, I would cancel them and I would go about checking out something else. But I really, since we have free spaces, I want to price check things, find some good margins. I don't really want to cancel them because if they do buy, then it'll be worth of having had them open. Right, Sunfire Splinters. Okay, so these are quite a high value, high volume item. You know, they're not a few GP, they are over 500. Even that one's not great. Yeah, okay. I mean, the margin there after the tax is basically around 5 GP, which is basically 1%. This is not really worth doing. So, Mithril Arrow, we've got 10 minutes. I will do a longer video another day. What I'd like to do is do a video where I basically show you my favorite items, just trade them, aim to make as much as possible, and do maybe a 1 or 2 hour stint. If that's something you want to see, let me know. If you're a bit of a beginner or you have a decent stack but you kind of have had enough of running beeswax and other boring methods of making money, then let me know if you'd like to see more, because it's quite fast paced, and if you're going to do something to just make money to help you maybe level up, or you know, need a load of money for skilling, or you want to do construction or something, then this is, I think, quite a good way to do it. You know, if you trade every day for a little bit, your money is compounding every day. You're not earning money from scratch. Okay, I'm going to leave Arrow Shaft, and the reason for that is because it's just so low value, and I feel like I know exactly what's going to happen. It's just not worth checking. Right, Vial of Water. I want to say the same thing, but I didn't want to leave too many items out, so I am going to check the Vial of Water. It was funny, when I started playing, this was one of the money makers people told me to do, to buy empty vials and fill them with water. I obviously didn't do that. Okay, so that's not great. You know, in theory, that's a 30% increase. You know, 3 GP up to 4, but for anyone who's tried flipping those, you're not actually going to fill the order at 3, and you're probably not going to sell them that quickly at 4. So you can try it, you know, on your account and have a look, but it's a kind of thing where if you're going to spend time doing something, the money and time will be better served with other items other than that. Okay, 29.30 for grapes. Right, steel bars. Steel bars should be pretty good because apart from anything else, a lot of steel bars in construction. And that really helps. For those of you wondering why my typing is so bad, I have played quite regularly, and I don't know why I'm so bad at typing it today. Okay. That's a really, really poor margin for the steel bars. I thought that would have been a bit better. Right, let's clear up some of these orders. So we bought coal at 163. Well, now what did we sell it at before? $167. So we're going to sell for 167. And having told you earlier, I'm going to tell you all the buy prices and sell prices. I can't really do that because, as you can see, the history doesn't go that far back, and I haven't been making a note of them. I will find a way of doing that moving forward. The next RuneScape trading video I do, I will do that, to really give you a proper deep dive into how much each item made. But for now, you're just going to know what I made over the half hour with the 5 million. Okay, so that was worth doing. You made something, but you didn't make that much. So, okay, coal is really selling really well. So we're going to go ahead and just open another buy order for this. Revenant Ether doesn't seem to be happening. Cosmic Runes. I'm going to close this because it just isn't happening. Let's go back and find out what the sell price was earlier. Okay, 114, 115. Well, that's what we bought it for. So let's put it on a 116. Let's just make something. Let's put it on a 117. Put it on a 117 because we paid 115 for it. If we sell it for 116, it's going to take the tax. Okay, so jug of water. not jug of water, jug of water. Okay, well that's good. So you see they're selling. So we're not making big money on those, but we are making something. It wasn't really worth the time, but if it was a bigger trade, you know, forget the percentage. If you're making 2% on something and you're doing it for $1 million, it's worth doing. You just don't want to spend too long on it. So, okay, iron ore. Haven't got high hopes of this because I don't trade this that often. Okay. I'm not going to open more trades of the cosmic rune because it just felt quite painful and quite slow. Okay, iron ore not worth doing. Right, next thing. Mahogany plank. I always think planks are pretty good. I always think they're better in theory than they are in practice. I know people buy them in quite big bulk, but I never really notice I make that much on them. I think I'm a little bit impatient and I don't want to sit there for hours and wait for them to go, and I'm reluctant to leave them in a trade overnight because things might go a bit south. So 2,212 versus 2,230, so that's a really small margin there. This is where the tact really doesn't help. Okay, mahogany plank, right, bowstring. A lot of them floating around, but I don't think we're gonna. Not house string, bowstring. I don't think we're gonna make anything really on these. Now, part of this trading for half an hour. I don't really want to have anything open at the half hour point, but I think what I'm going to do is the half an hour will basically be I won't buy anything beyond that point because you don't know how long things are going to be in for. So I'll try and close everything as close as I can to the half hour mark, but I don't want to basically get stuck. I don't want to get stuck with a load of items and sell them at a loss just so I can end the video. Okay, let's open one here, right? So 321 to 332. Let's buy the market price, so 1,000 at market, and let's just see what happens. Okay, so that was that. So lava rune. These are quite low value. Now you can see what I mean about Revenant Ether, Law Rune, Astral Rune. We could see there was margin in those, and it's either not enough margin or people are just not really trading that much. This is quite a good margin, so we're going to go for this. We'll do it at 22, but I don't want to get stuck with them at a bad price. Okay, so mahogany logs. I've already done those. We're not going to do the vial. We'll do iron arrow. We're not going to do the vial because they are just so low value. Yeah, iron arrow is low value as well. The thing is, you want something that has lots of demand, but the fact that something has lots of demand means there's lots of buying and selling. So you're not going to have this massive disparity in price generally. So there's not huge money to be made on these items, but they're still good bread and butter items. They're still worth doing. I mean, your average flipper isn't going through doing what we're doing. It's just for an illustration, just to see how things go. So adamant bolts, you know, people normally have their favourites. They have ones that they know do well, and they carry on with those. But it is worth doing this every so often just to give yourself a bit of a reality check. You know, just to kind of familiarise with yourself with the items again, their different prices. Okay, so adamant bolts, pretty terrible margin. So, right, coal, we're going to sell these for 166. Okay. Now, Wrath runes, we bought them at 321, which was market, and they said they were 321 to 332. So let's sell them at 320. If we sell them at 326, if we sell them at 326, then by the time they've taken off the 3GP tax, we'll be left with 323 and we bought with 321. So we'll make something. We're not going to make loads, but we'll make something. You don't really want to be trading something if it's under 1%. Okay, so we're getting really close to the half-hour mark. So dust runes. Yeah, the next video I'll do. Let me know if you want to see something like this or something that is kind of, I trade for an hour, but I basically pick what I would do and trade my normal way. So like I'll trade things that I know do well and things that I know make money. And don't do it in such kind of, such an order. You know, like I'd go straight into swordfish and two-handed dragon swords, you know, different bars, different ores, things that I know do well. Okay, you logs. You know, I'd go straight after things I know do well and just basically keep on it. Okay. Right, we're properly at the half-hour mark. So what I want to do is, I would open a trade with these because they are really good margin, but I'm not going to. I'm basically going to wrap things up here. I'm going to cancel these buy orders because they aren't filling. Kind of disappointing. I knew we wouldn't do great in half an hour, but I was kind of expecting a little bit more. Just kind of expecting a bit more because they are all high value or basically high traded items, so people trade a lot of them. And I was just thinking we might get a little bit more done. So I don't want to sell these at a loss. I bought them at 321. If I sell them at 324, we'll basically break even. I wanna basically wrap this up here and get these items sorted. We're not going to have done that great in terms of total return. Okay, here we go. Okay, so they don't have like a little counting emoji. It'd be funny if they did. Okay, so let's just examine this here. So we started off with 5 million GP. We now have 5,074,769. It's not terrible. It's not nothing. It's over 1%. The only thing is, the more money you have and the more time you trade for, the more money you can make. And to a degree, the higher percentage you can make, you know, after 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, the more time you're doing it for, you can get more money and a higher percentage return because, you know, in 4 hours time, the things that we kind of exhausted, like the coal and the cannonballs would have reset, so we could have made more money. So I think the sweet spot is kind of like 3-4 hours kind of thing. Let's just work this out. So 74,000. So that is 1.48%. That's not like an amazing number. That is not setting the world on fire. This was kind of an illustrative video to show you how much you can make in half an hour with a small stack, with what is basically no knowledge of items. Because I was, you know, people tell you to trade flipping with the most traded items. So that's what I did. And we got probably halfway through them, if that. But you can see that you can make money having a small stack with kind of no market knowledge, with no knowledge of any specific items you want to go after. So if you had that knowledge, after 2-3 hours, you really can see quite a good return. And just to give you a little idea of how much you can make, let's say you did this every day. Let's say you made 1.5% on your 5 million every day for 30 days. I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to do it on an online compound interest calculator. The calculator website, it's really good. So basically working it out here. So if you were to trade and make 1.5% net on the 5 million on the start, and you were to do that every day for a month, then with it compounding daily, you would end up with 7.8 million. So it's quite a lot of time involved, but for someone who, maybe not have great skill levels, maybe doesn't know the game that well, it is a way to kind of make more money with your money. I am going to bring out more videos on this because I do find it kind of interesting, and there is quite a lot you can do with it in terms of, helping other players who maybe don't know the game that well. But I'm going to wrap things up here. Next time it's going to be a bit more interesting because I'm going to be trading with more money, because I wanted to show you what I do with a small amount. I'm going to be trading with more money next time. I'm going to be trading for longer, and I'm going to be trading my way. There won't be any of this top 100 items. I'm going to be showing you the items I trade, the ones that I like. I'm going to make it a lot more comprehensive in terms of, what items did we trade, what prices were they, how much did we totally pay for things, how much did we earn back, what kind of taxes did we pay, because that is something to keep in consideration. Pre-tax, people were making a lot more money. But I'm going to wrap things up here. I hope this is kind of useful and it's something you can use. And if you're a beginner flipping, just keep on doing it. Just keep flipping items, finding new things, do things that work for you. Keep a little list of things that do well and just keep on those items. If you can make 1.5% in half an hour, you can do 3% in an hour. Realistically, if you're doing 5, 6, 7, 8% a day, and you look over the month, you really can make quite a lot of GP, especially if you're starting off with a decent stack. So I'll speak to you guys later, and if you have any comments, if you have any input, if you have any feedback, let me know. Thanks, guys.